Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, and you have our sincere apologies. A combination of problems is probably the best way to describe what's been going on here. A combination of our modem burning out quite literally, replacing the modem, dealing with Time Warner cable support to get things going again, and massive ping problems to every ingest server on the planet. Which is hilarious and awful. But it's where we are right now. I've had to make some adjustments to try and keep the stream stable. Gunrun's been helping me out with this. We have no idea if it will hold up. We really hope that it will. If it doesn't, well, the only thing that I can say is that we're really, really sorry about it, and we'll be doing the rest via VOD. Seems like the best way to do things. What you're going to notice is most likely a decreased quality on the stream. This also means that 60 frames per second will not be happening. We recommend that you watch on 720p, not 720p plus, because we're currently using a variable bitrate codec. Yeah. So that's my explanation. And again, we're really, really sorry about this. Obviously, this stuff is entirely outside of our control, but I'm really sorry for wasting your time. And we hope that it works from here on in. Greg, welcome back.
Thank you. Glad we're finally back up. Hopefully it stays up.
And that would be nice, wouldn't it? We'll see.
Yes, it would.
Yeah, don't know if it will, but we'll find out. It's not nice to have to take like an hour-plus break from a tournament thanks to all of this nonsense. And obviously we have to apologize to the players as well, because this is not what you want in the middle of a series. This is a really bad thing indeed.
Yeah, I feel by far the worst for the players, because like in either situation, but obviously worse for Kane as he's down, having to sit there and stew on that for an hour. Probably not playing warm-up games. Your hands are getting a little bit stiff. You're just thinking about the match, and like you don't really want to think about it too much. It's good to have time to prepare and think things through, but you don't want to sit and stew on it. You kind of just want to keep playing. It's just very frustrating in that position.
Yeah, definitely, and we're very, very sorry about that. So, here is hoping that we'll be able to get back into the swing of this. We're just waiting for QXC to be ready. He's just had to take a quick timeout. And hopefully he will be ready to go momentarily, but such is sadly the way of things when it comes to the internet and stuff involving the internet.
Looks like QXC is ready, so we're going to get started.
Excellent, good, right. So we're going to the second lobby now, and we should be into the game momentarily, and here's hoping nothing else ends up going wrong. Currently the stream shows pretty solid, we have no drops, so hopefully it remains that way. And yeah, we replaced the modem, so it's not the modem. We replaced the router, so it's not the router. And we've done everything we possibly can to make this, work on our end. So here's hoping that it actually keeps going. It's a shame because it mars a great series, and unfortunately you actually had internet problems as well, so you weren't able to cast the third game between Kane and QXC, which was pretty wild.
Yeah, I watched a good chunk of it on your stream. That Thor got 4 important building kills. I don't know if this ever happened before, like a single one. And then the amount of units he ran over the Widow Mine trap. Like, it's understandable. That's a situation where you're finally breaking a Mech Terran. Mech Terran is so frustrating to play against in those situations. Yeah. You finally break him, you're just like, I want to rally units at him until he gets out of the game. That's all I care about. And then you just slowly get whittled down by all those little things you're trying to get past.
Yeah, I mean, you were actually talking about his Widow Mine style before we started the series, and he broke it out. So I was just really impressed with how that ended up going, but it was just a wild game. There was not a lot of control from QXC's side. It was just a case of there are so many mines all over the map, and there is so much crazy stuff going on that you kind of just have to ride out the storm, I feel.
Yep. Yeah, I know a lot of viewers were talking about how sloppy Kane looked during that, and he didn't handle everything properly, but that kind of game, it creates sloppiness, particularly from a Zerg player, because it just requires a lot more attention to negate mines than to place them, and especially when there's that many, it kind of amplifies, in proportion to the number of mines there actually are. And so, Kane looked really sloppy, but it's just so hard to play from that situation. It's almost understandable some of the mistakes he was making.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, a point that you brought up about running over that Widow Mine repeatedly is it's just a case of you're trying desperately to hammer down his main base. I mean, he was inside that base for a good couple of minutes, and he was destroying production, and he was fighting as more Thors, more tanks, more Widow Mines kept coming out, and his reinforcements were rallying over that trap over and over again. And then that Thor, that was a strange Thor indeed, and when he finally did come to respond to it, there were 5 mules repairing it, so it didn't care.
Yeah, that was QXE does that kind of thing a lot. You see that a lot out of him, but it's just so effectual. He's just willing to do things that a lot of Terran players don't consider worthwhile or don't even give a second thought to, and sometimes it works out like that.
It was insane. All right, folks. After a long delay, we are back here on Belshire Vestige with this guy. He is Root Kane in the Red Trunks, playing Zerg to the southeast versus his opponent, who is currently up 2-1 after a wild game on Whirlwind. He is Complexity QXE in the Blue Trunks, playing Terran to the northwest. Alright, Whirlwind was a huge map. It allowed for some pretty crazy plays. This, not so much. What would you expect? If you were down 2-1 in this series against a player like QXE, what would be the kind of thing that you would pull out of your Zerg hat?
Well, Kane showed he really wanted to play aggressive the first 2 games. I'm not sure how he opened Whirlwind, as that was when I was trying to get my connection back up.
Yeah.
But the first 2 games, Roach all in, like a Nidus Roach all in, and then a pretty heavy Roach Bane all in. So he was definitely looking to play aggressive, but we also know he's capable of playing the macro game. He is a pretty diverse player. We have that Ultra Rush build. Well, not Rush, but very fast Ultra build that he's pulled out in series before. So he's really capable of doing anything, and on this map, I think he's likely to go more for the macro game, because particularly if QXE wants to play mech on here, the big thing about this map is that there's so many different paths around. There's 4 or 5 different ways to actually get across the map and be separated from an army onto the other path. And that means that counterattacks and high mobility kind of armies are great on here. So this is a bad map for mech. And QXE's bio honestly just is not as good as his mech. So I think Kane really would like to emphasize that and get into a macro game, just make QXE either play uncomfortably or play an inefficient style for the map.
Now we're going to see a Reaper opening here from QXE, not something that we've seen from him so far, I think, in this tournament. He has, for the most part, just been forgoing the Reaper, unless he goes for the crazy kind of 2-barrack style with multiple Reapers, but of course in this case he's not going to be doing that. So pretty standard scouting opening, going to give him a nice bit of information. And usually you generally expand after this, and you usually don't see more than at maximum 3 Reapers come out of a single barracks, but he's going to go for 2. We'll see if he decides to go for the full 3, and that's going to tell us whether or not he's just interested in scouting or whether or not he's interested in doing damage.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, Kane is opening Speedling again this game without actually scouting, so he's going to be in great shape to just deal with this, because he will have that Speedling out. Plus, he didn't have to spend the drone scouting. I'm not sure how he knew it was going to be a Reaper opening this game. Maybe QXE always goes Reaper on this map. But after opening double CC and drone scouting every time to not drone scout on here, that works out quite nicely for him. It's kind of weird, though.
I think it is one of those interesting situations, as you mentioned earlier, where these guys play each other so much on the ladder that they're a little bit further inside the heads of their opponents than you would otherwise expect in a normal tournament.
Yeah, that is honestly one of the most interesting aspects of this tournament, just because everyone plays in a ladder, everyone plays on their own IDs for the most part. So everyone has a lot more knowledge about their opponent than you usually get in competitive scenarios. And the mind games that stem from that are just incredible. Like, usually you think a cheesy player would have a disadvantage because their opponents know that they're going to cheese, but then they can actually go around the other way and they can play a super greedy build or different cheeses than they normally do because they know their opponents are going to have this set idea of them, and it keeps going on and on like that with everyone trying to outguess each other. So
that's very true. It's really, really cool to watch.
Yeah.
Alright, now we have QXE getting aggressive. He's going to use these 2 Reapers here. He does actually have a third. Funnily enough, there is actually a Ling that made its way in here somehow and managed to kill itself. It's going to kill 2 SCVs here. This is a pretty damn good Ling.
Yeah, it killed 2 SCVs, it got full scouting information, and actually slowed down the CC just a little tiny bit. Plus, at the same time, those Reapers do nothing as QXE's attention was split.
Yep.
So that kind of thing is so effective, because when someone does open 2 Reapers, part of the benefit from opening up with those Reapers is the map control. So you're not really worried about defending your base, you're not making other units, you're not thinking that you're going to be under pressure. So if you can manage to sneak even a couple of Lings around, that kind of thing happens surprisingly frequently. And it really worked out well for Kane there.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Getting 2 workers with a single Ling is very, very unusual, and even getting that scouting information is great. And now the Reapers are forced backwards, having not being able to do an awful lot. We have an interesting Speedling flank now, just running around, getting map control, putting on just a little bit of pressure. If the Reapers were out on the map again, or if there was a Hellion or 2 out of the map, that might be able to catch it. That's kind of what Kane's trying to do here, and maybe just, if possible, slow this down. But of course, there is the bunker up. Oh, and very, very quickly lifting that. Nice actual arrangement here by QXE, I noticed, with the add-on also providing a partial wall off rather than just the building, so he was able to stop that from happening.
Yeah, that did kind of save him, the fact that he was switching his buildings at the time but didn't manage to get in anyway. However, he did have those 2 Hellions, but the big thing is it would have gotten scouting information, it would have seen that 3rd command center, then he would have known exactly what QXE is doing. And we actually see double engineering bay coming down from QXE, so he will be playing bio this game. And this is it's standard, but it's greedy. It gives you a very good economy, very good upgrades, all off almost no units. But at the same time, it is the standard build because if Terran reacts properly, they can't hold off anything, even with such a greedy, powerful opening. So QXC going to be in pretty good shape as long as he scouts everything. But it looks like Kane's not even going to try and bust it this game. He's just going straight up to Lair and getting his double Evo chambers going for upgrades themselves.
Yeah, getting up just a few links here and there because, of course, there is the possibility of a little bit of pressure from these Hellions and Reapers. And they'll poke a little bit. They're not going to do much to the hatchery. There's nothing mining there anyway. They do get some information. There's a bunch of Lings actually trying to set up a run-by here, which could prove to do damage. There's nothing really there to stop it. There's a couple of Marines in a bunker, which won't stop the right side of that mineral line getting hit.
Yeah, he is definitely at least a couple of SCV kills there. QXC responding immediately, saves the rest of them. And that bunker will chase off the Marines, or the Zerglings. However, that does pull the Hellions and the Reapers back kind of unnecessarily, but the really nice part about that is those Reapers and Hellions aren't in Kane's face now. He's free to drone up, just continue to spread his creep, and just kind of secure his own bases because QXC is worried about defending the Ling counterattack.
Yeah, and QXC just hunting the Lings down and actually missing them, funnily enough, over to the side right there. So they are going to play a further part in this game regardless. Going to see Spire on the way here from Kane, who is looking to go all the way up to 6 gas.
Yep, Spire and a Baneling Nest, double upgrades, all going very normally, but kind of low economy. We don't see a 4th hatchery. He's just now getting drones up at his 3rd base. Generally, Zergs, at this point in the game, they do have more drones. He's been producing a ton of Zerglings, and he's being pretty active with them, but he hasn't really gotten too much return on that investment. He hasn't gotten a ton of SCV kills, not nearly enough to justify his Zergling count. And so his economy is going to be a little bit behind where you honestly want it to be at this point in the game. And the lack of a 4th hatchery is especially concerning, because really, Zerglings are cheap. You need a lot of larvae to be able to produce many of them, and Zergs normally have at least 1 macro hatch by this point in the game.
Yep, and he certainly does not. Looking at the gas count right here, as his Spire is a good 30 seconds away from completing, we can expect to see probably maybe 9 or possibly even 10 Mutalisks coming out. We'll see whether or not he decides to dedicate to an upgrade style with that. With double upgrades, it can be pretty difficult to go triple upgrades, especially when you want to actually get your Baneling speed down and burrow as well. So we're going to be seeing some mind play, which I'm looking forward to. That's always the most fun thing to watch. Armory-wise, QXC is looking to start his double upgrades very, very shortly as soon as this armory finishes. He is he's just on them out of the gas, so this is actually quite nicely timed here. And we will see the flyer attack upgrade as well. That's a huge amount of upgrades going on at once. And, well, he heard your plea, man. He's got 2 hatcheries down now to help out with this.
Yep, that will definitely help out. It is very interesting that he's going that air upgrade because, as we've been talking about all through and kind of hoping to see, he does that fast ultra build. Yep. And generally the +1 muta attack, that generally signifies that you're going to go more heavy mid-game, you're going to produce more mutas, because broodlords aren't nearly as prevalent in the matchup as they were in Wings of Liberty. So you don't those upgrades don't really scale as well to the late game if you're going to be more reliant on ultras than on broodlords. So I'm not sure if he's going to have a mass muta style to show us, or if he has something else up his sleeve.
I'm intrigued. There's already 1,000 gas in the bank right here, and now he's starting to bank up those Mutalisks. We've got Lings just being annoying around the side. They did kill an SCV or 2. Kane's consistent Ling run-bys are certainly doing work, but as he pointed out earlier, they're not doing a huge amount of damage. This might. He's able to make a few passes over the supply depots, does a little bit of damage, takes a few tank shots in the process, forces a big stim out from QXC's Marines, which actually don't have any medevacs right now, so that's not a good position to be in. A couple of rolling Banelings get killed before they're able to burrow, and actually revealed burrow there as well to no gain, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, but that was definitely a good attack for Kane there. He didn't even lose many of his Zerglings, and he got quite a few Marine kills, and it also showed him tanks.
Nice.
And the fact that he knows that there are tanks out does alter the way he's going to play quite a bit. It means... Well, I mean, it means that you don't have to worry about Hellbats and Widow Mines, and any Zerg is going to be pretty grateful for that. And also, QXC has an undefended mineral line over here that Kane is hitting immediately with his mutas, taking down all the mules right away, quite a few SCVs as well. Really kind of sloppy by QXC.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that he didn't at least just put a turret down. He's now building them, but he lost like at least 4 mules there, which is about 1,000 resources worth of work. They were fairly important. Now we got Lings trying to get the surround here. Good shot off by QXC's Hellions initially. Now making his way off creep. The surround is going to happen, though, and that will die, so it was only really a matter of time. A lot of Lings did go down in the process, but now on a macro hatch and 4 bases, things are looking good. QXC not really able to drop to the side here either. The Mutalisks are still active on the map, so drop play is going to be restricted.
Yeah, QXC, with the loss of those Marines early on and the fact that he's investing in tanks, he really just doesn't have very many units. And Kane has total map control now. Good overlord spread, good creep spread. He can shut down any kind of drop play. And it's not like QXE has enough units to actually do any kind of diversionary attacks. He has to keep all his army together, or it's just going to get run over by those ridiculous circling numbers. And it looks like Kane is actually going to do a slightly delayed 2-2 timing. He's making a bunch of banelings. He has all these units out here, looking like they're ready to go in for an attack. And we don't see 2-2 timings too much anymore because of Widow Mines. But against tanks, it's very effective. And there, a dropship is actually going to spot all those units there. So QXE should be prepared for it, but it might just be too many units for him to actually hold. That is a ton of Zerg.
We've got the Mutalisk wheeling around to the third base once again. There's only one missile turret there and a tank, which could be very easily picked up. Nice move, I think, by Kane to pull his army back, actually, and make sure that QXE's army was a little bit out of position. But QXE responds very quickly. The sensor tower did go down, which is always nice.
Yeah, taking that out is going to open him up for later harass, but the Mutas actually run into a Marine Pack, loses a couple of those, and a Medevac did sneak its way around, but the Zerglings will be able to shut that down.
So many Lings in the natural right now. That was a huge run by coming in. Most of the Banelings do get to the mineral line as well, and a big detonation goes off. Merely a lot of Banelings used for that, but there are Zerglings all over QXE's natural right now, causing a huge amount of problems. Marines dying as they get out there. They've now made their way into the main base. The economy of QXE is getting trashed here.
Yeah, Mutas at the same time going in the third, but plenty of turrets to turn those away. And all the SCVs down, both the main and the natural. But he is losing a lot of units for this, and QXE has a pretty decent Marine count built up. And at the same time, a drop was running around distracting Kane. So, I don't know. QXE might be able to do a counterattack here, but he's just lost so many SCVs now. He now has less than half the worker count.
Yep, 47 dead from that. That was a really nice attack there by Kane. Kane's army supply is still really large. Like, he's about to actually max out again. Admittedly, he is building a lot of Mutalisks, which may very well not be so good in the fight against that many Marines with those kind of upgrades, but with that many Banelings as well, and starting 3-3, QXE, I think, realized it's going to go in. Also, his medevac count is pretty low, which is not good when you're doing mass stims like that.
Yeah, all of his Marines are in the red health. Without the medevacs, those are just going to die at the first Baneling hit they take. I don't think he can afford to push forward in that. He will just get absolutely destroyed if they take a straight-up fight. Loading up a couple of medevacs and going around, but that's right next to the army anyway, so easy enough for Kane to respond to that. And really, it's looking like QXE's kind of running out of options. He just has such a weak economy after that attack by Kane.
Yeah, losing those two dropships is absolutely massive. He only had 5 to begin with. Now he's got 3. He lost 16 Marines to no effect there, and Kane outnumbers him so much. I mean, there's almost a Baneling for every Marine here, and the Mutalisk count is ridiculously high as well, with good upgrades. They're rolling in right now, and I do not see QXE surviving this.
No, definitely not. He caught him out of position, and he could have fought the army straight up anyway, but now QXE has to run back into it.
There's
QXE
the
doesn't even
GG.
try.
Nicely played there by Kane. Very dominant performance, I feel. QXE not really able to handle Kane at all, and now that ties the series up 2-2, and we're going to be going to the 5th one, which is fantastic, and also means that the map that no one wanted to play will be the map that is at the end. We'll see which one that is. I actually can't remember which. That would be Neoplanet S, actually.
Yeah, everyone hates Planet S. I think that plays into QXE's favor. It is a pretty okay mech map, and just as Zerg, it's pretty uncomfortable because it's so hard to take expansions. But it's just a very uncomfortable map for everyone. There's so many different attack paths. It's very short. The third base is very difficult to take. There's no better word for it than uncomfortable.
Yep. Well, we'll see who can actually pull out a good build on it. They had to be expecting that this would happen, that it may very well go to the 5th game, and these guys looking pretty evenly matched, but QXE just seemed to... I mean, there was a couple of little run-bys here and there that did a little bit of damage, but I think it was just effective strikes by Kane just to keep his opponent on his toes, and also denying drop play. There was little harassment from QXE before the Mutalisks came out, and as soon as they came out, drop play didn't really become so much of an option.
Yeah, and I really dislike QXE's decision to go tanks as well. Widow Mines and Hellbats both are just the much better options now. Like I said, QXE not as comfortable with bio as mech, I feel, and we just saw that there. Kane didn't do anything amazing. He made good decisions, he took good engagements, and he macroed well. But it was really just QXE not having enough units, getting caught out of position, not having the best composition. Just really kind of disappointing. I kind of hope he'll play mech here, because I think we'll get a much better game out of that.
Okay, we will go into a very quick break, folks, while we set this up, and we will be right back. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We don't want to spend too much time with the downtime. We've had way too much already, so we will be going into Neoplanet S, the map that is not exactly comfortable for anybody.
Yeah, the fact that neither player picked it so far is very telling of that fact.
Yes, indeed. It has actually been the least picked map in the tournament so far. Those who have picked it, I believe, have had very specific strategies and have been pretty successful on it. But aside from that, it has been vetoed at every possible opportunity by the vast majority of players. Along with, I mean, Star Station, I think, was the second most vetoed map. It depended on the matchup, though.
Yeah, both maps have very difficult to take thirds, and everyone likes to get up to that third. Oh, except for Hello Kitty. Everyone likes to get up to that third base and just play where they're comfortable from into a macro game.